time it was. Then I met you. Oh, what a lovely time it was. How sublime it was too. I didn't know what day it was. You held my hand warm like the month of May it was. And I'll say it was grand. Grand to be alive, to be young, to be mad, to be yours.
Well, it's really not my place to fade down Sarah Vaughan, but let me just tell you, first of all, that it's Ask or Tell Me Anything. And the way Ask or Tell Me Anything works is that we have a phone number. It's 888-720-9677. You may call that phone number. You may dial it also as 888-720-WNPR, assuming that there are letters on your phone. And then you can bring up anything you want. You can talk about anything that you care to talk about. While I'm waiting for you to make up your mind about that, though, let me tell you the two reasons we're opening with this song. The first reason is we are only going to use music by Rodgers and Hart all day today. Quite frequently, because Mr. McPants likes it, we will end with this Kraftwerk song. It appears that Kraftwerk never did cover any Rodgers and Hart material, so they will not be appearing on today's show. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I saw the movie Blue Moon, in which Ethan Hawke plays Larry Hart, and so it's on my mind. But we're opening specifically with I Didn't Know What Time It Was, Sarah Vaughan version, because I don't think anybody knows what time it is because of this messing about with our clocks, which I think we really should stop doing. It comes up all the time, and there's numbers. There's numbers. I'm going to get some numbers for you. Are you ready? In the spring, when we lose an hour of sleep and wake up in the dark, our circadian rhythms are disrupted, making it harder to get up and function. Fatal car accidents rise by about 6%. Heart attacks spike by 24%. And rates of abnormal heart rhythms and inflammation increase. In the fall, shorter days and reduced light exposure, sunsets are earlier, are linked to higher rates of depressive episodes. And so research shows that keeping one time year-round, either standard or daylight, pick a lane, would be healthier. And on and on. Not only do most of us wind up feeling kind of crappy for a few days, it's actually dangerous. It's dangerous to be doing this. And there was some kind of bill. It was like the only thing that, there's a list of like 6 things that Donald Trump has ever done that meant anything to me. And in a good way. And this would have been one of them. And it didn't, I don't know what happened. You know why I don't know what happened? Because my concentration waned, because my concentration isn't good, because I'm not sleeping right, because they changed the clocks. I'm sorry. Anyway, our number is 888-720-9677. 888-720-WNPR. I literally know one person who's okay with this. One person. And I know a lot of people, too. But my friend Tom Droney, he likes it. And I don't know, understand it. And he's somebody who also, he works outdoors. So you would, maybe it's because he works outdoors. Because the other part of this is, yes. And Frank wants to talk about this too. And maybe I should just hold what I was about to say and get into it with Frank. But you don't have to call just up about that. You can call about anything you want to call up about. 888-720-9677. 888-720-WNPR. They're the same number, just expressed differently. Here's Frank from Norwich. Hi, Frank.
Hey, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing terrible because of this time change.
Oh, really? The other day is like my favorite day of the year.
Because you think you get an extra hour, right?
Yeah. It just like psychs me out. So I like that. I do not like the one in the springtime.
Because you think you lose an hour.
Yeah, and I was telling the person who answered the phones that I mix up the Eastern and Daylight Savings, so I don't know which one is which. And but I don't mind it getting dark earlier, but I know it's wintertime, so what the heck, and
right.
We're in the Northeast.
A couple of things about that. So I used to work at a place called WTIC, a different radio station, and I had the afternoon drive shift, which is from 3 to 6. So on this day of the year, I would walk out, and for the first time, it would be pitch dark because I walk out of the building at 6:50. I never liked that. I always felt like very, very bad. But I think the other thing is, we have to find a better way of talking about this because, we all do it, myself included. I'm not feeling to indict myself. But we don't really get anything. Like, we don't get an extra hour. The time is moved around a little bit, so that it's a different time when your eyelids flutter awake. And we don't get more light or less light, or we get as much light as there is. And changing the clocks does not create more or less light.
Correct.
The revolution of the Earth around the sun does that. So we are going to get yeah, go ahead.
Everybody used to say it was because of the farmers and all that kind of stuff. And then a few years ago, somebody said that's a bunch of
hooey
junk.
Yeah.
It's not really, you're right, phooey. And then so, hearing the reality of it all is always good to hear year to year. So I like hearing about, like, what's the real deal. But I know that a couple of years ago, I think it was maybe George Bush the son, switched it kind of like a week or so. And that does affect me quite a bit because I referee sports.
Yeah.
So in the fall, that shifts things dramatically. And I think it made it a little worse just because more schools and situations have to shift a week earlier or something like that. But, again, I could have that all.
We like saying things like, I think you're offsides, but it's pitch dark. I'm not 100% sure. We got to put lights on the field. But I think I might have been offsides.
Right. I know where we are, you're going to get a lot of dark, and then, during the summer you get a lot more light. So, depending on where you live, it affects you differently.
Yeah.
So I just don't like shifting it. So whichever way it goes,
I'm with you. I could live with the crappy system that we're in right now if it never changed. I totally agree. Pick a freaking lane. By the way, the poll that did a very scientific opinion polling of cows a few years ago, 81% of cows do not like the time change. So we're not doing them any favor. Let's not be talking about farmers anymore. The cows hate it. It's like the thing that, they have other things that they hate that we're not going to go into right now, but it's a thing that they hate. Okay, just leave it there. All right, so here we go. We're just going to keep going. Stephanie from Westbrook is joining us now. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm just well. I'm the time change. I'm not well.
I just wanted to call in because I watched a movie a couple of nights ago that if anyone listening is looking for an excellent horror film, I don't really consider myself a movie buff, but I really, really loved the film Weapons by director Zach Krager. It just came out, and I just wanted to share that. It was a really great film.
Explain what you liked about it. I think I think this might have been, Pants, was this discussed on a Sean Murray hosted episode of The Nose? I think it might have been. And also, Pants is also they're seconding that recommendation.
Okay,
but
great.
Say what you liked about it. What made it? Because I haven't seen it yet.
So I think that for me with horror, it's hard to strike a balance between psychological tension, gore, concept, and execution. And I think that this film struck that balance for me in a way that a horror movie has not in a long time. There were some jump scares, but they weren't gratuitous. I thought that the camera work was really, really effective. The psychological tension was really good. I thought that the plot was executed really well. The concept was also unique, and I thought that the acting was phenomenal. One of the lead actresses, Julia Garner. She's also in Ozark.
Julia Garner. She's terrific.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite actresses, and she was phenomenal.
Did you watch this on a streaming platform? Is that where it is now?
I paid for it on Amazon Prime. It was expensive. It was like $7, but I really wanted to see it, so I thought
that really set you back. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was worth it. It was worth it.
Okay, you're getting me to want to see. One thing I discovered recently, I've always thought that I didn't like horror movies, and my son recently has been kind of forcing me to watch horror movies. So on Halloween night, it so happened that we watched Halloween, which frankly I had never seen before. That's not that scary. It's not. It's not very scary at all.
Weapons is scary. It's scary, and it's tense. I don't love gore. I'm happy to cover my eyes for a few moments here and there. And this was one of those where you might want to avert your eyes for a few scenes, but you can still appreciate the movie and appreciate the tension, the camera work, and the music especially. I just was like on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Yeah, I don't love gore either. I mean, I appreciate everything you did about climate change, but I you don't laugh at that. That's a dad joke. That's a sad, pathetic dad joke. No, you know what they're doing in the control room right now? They're saying she's encouraging him to say those things. No, what I do want to say, to me, one thing that you didn't name in your very interesting list of criteria is jump scares. And jump scares are probably the thing that bother me the most. I can handle most things, but the jump scare.
So I like a good jump scare.
You
this
do.
movie, I would say it had, I don't like them if they're too much. This movie had, I think, maybe 4 or 5. They're well placed. They're fairly easy to anticipate, and
then they're not jump scares. If you can anticipate them, they're sort of not jump scares, right?
The tension builds, and then you're like, okay, something's going to definitely happen, and then you can sort of anticipate that it does. But they're executed well, and they're not gratuitous. I think they're well executed.
For me, what they should do is they should have a little CG crawl saying "jump scare coming in 8, 7, 6, 5," and then I'd be fine.
I would also appreciate that.
Yeah, it's the jump more than the scare, I think. Well, it has been delightful, Stephanie, to talk to you, and you should feel free to call in, whether you consider yourself a movie buff or not. You should feel free to call in at any time to discuss the latest thing you've watched.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And we'll come up with a Stephanie scale of some kind where you'll give it a certain number of something that would be kind of symbolic of who you are. We'll work on that. All right, here we go. Steve in North Haven. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Colin.
You have the floor.
Hello?
Yes, you have
Colin,
the floor.
Yeah, I've been a lifelong liberal Democrat, but there's one thing I tend to agree with the right, and it has to do with transgender athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for transgender people. I have no problem with that. But I can't understand how some scientists can say that transgender women don't have an advantage. I've been an athlete for years and coached a bunch of sports. And also, I would ask the question, which I haven't been asked, if they don't have an advantage, why aren't there transgender men that are doing so well? Because they don't have a chance of a snowball in hell. I don't understand that. I mean, I understand. I believe they have the right to participate, but I don't know where you put them, because they wouldn't probably want to be in a group by themselves, and there's not enough to really have that much athletic competition. It's a very
the Trolympics. If we had the Trolympics, it would be, just wouldn't be that many athletes. I mean, the parade would be really short at the beginning. I don't think you're alone at all. I think also this was turned into kind of a losing issue in the most recent presidential election. I'm not saying 2024 devolved onto that one thing, but I don't think it helped the Democrats. I think, as people occasionally try to point out, the number of people in like the 500,000 NCAA sports participants, if you look at everybody who's playing any kind of sport in any kind of college, and then there's like 10 trans athletes. And so this is like this national crisis. I mean, that's where I start. It's not that big a deal. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I would say? If I was a transgender woman, and I think I would say I don't think I should compete against women because I have an advantage. Just like if I was offered a political position I didn't feel like I was qualified for, I would say thanks, but I'm not qualified for it.
Actually, that doesn't work anymore. Look at the people who are holding political positions right now.
Basically,
everybody is qualified. And you certainly are. You could be president. Nobody would say he doesn't know enough. That would never be said about you. No, I think what you're talking about is I've talked to plenty of other people who are exactly like you. They identify as Democrats and maybe even liberal Democrats, and they can't get there on this one. And not only that, but it has been turned into a political liability. Gavin Newsom is one of the people who has identified that within the last 12 months and has kind of been pretty careful to sort of not hew to that position.
Yeah, it's a very messy issue.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, you'll probably hear me say this a lot over the next few months, but the other thing that I think is clear, even from some of the recent more more, I don't know, granular polling is one of the things that's hurting the Democratic Party is they seem too specialized. They seem to be about specialized interest in groups, whereas Ezra Klein and others are saying, get everybody in there, court everybody.
If you want to win.
Yeah, if you want to win, you got to build coalitions, and you can't be hyper-specific about certain kinds of interests. You have to say, look, we are interested in helping as many people as possible. And so this has been an issue that doesn't work. I'm like you, too. I mean, I sound like your typical bigoted person when I say I know a fair number of trans people, and I'm close to some of them and really like them a lot. And I've never asked them their thoughts about this. But to me, to make this the most famous issue about being a trans person is also kind of grotesquely unfair. There are so many other ways in which trans people should be affirmed and accommodated and incorporated into public discourse and into, I mean, we have one in Congress now, which is good. All that stuff is good. And we're having the most divisive, boutique, and difficult conversation, the one that actually serves the interest of the fewest number of trans people. And so in that sense, I think it seems wrong and unfair to you. So anyway, thanks for calling up about that. Yes, we can talk about that. Mary Jane from North Stonington, where they're overrun with mountain lions right now. Mary Jane, welcome to the show.
Oh, hi, Colin. I'm just calling to announce to the people that can hear this radio show that on September 7th of this year, a saint was canonized in Rome, and he died at the age of 15. His name was Carlos Acutis, Acutis, and his contribution was in part that he used the computer to help the Catholic Church. So he's the first millennial saint, and he's also a young saint. He died when he was only 15. So he's kind of an anomaly. We don't have that many young saints. And he made a prediction, and if somebody wants to find out what it was, they can just Google the word AT space 44 and his last name, Acutis, Acutis.
We did actually mention this on the air last week because we reran a show we did about saints, but we updated it to reflect the ascension of this young man.
He's just new and interesting, and I think the computer people would just love it that they have a computer saint. So thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks for calling in about that. Absolutely. I'm not even going to try to embellish that in any particular way. All right, let's go to Mike in Woodbury. We're probably pretty close to going to a break. And then we have another Mike from Bristol. We'll probably get to that person on the other side of the break, would be my guess. The number, let me give it out one more time, 888-720-9677. See, now you've been listening a while. You can see that no topic is verboten. 888-720-WNPR. Here's Mike from Woodbury. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Colin. How you doing?
Good.
So I was out of town all last week, so you may have discussed this on the nose, but a House of Dynamite.
Yep.
The new. Did you discuss it?
We did discuss it, and I know what you're going to say, and I said it too, but it's worth saying more than once. So let me just set it up for people. House of Dynamite, directed by Catherine Bigelow. It's on Netflix right now. It is sort of a simulation, a fictional simulation of an ICBM coming into our airspace, origin unknown. It's in mid-flight. It's going to hit somewhere in the middle of the country, and you see the response. So essentially the same 18 minutes from three different perspectives, the final one being the President of the United States. And it's got a cast of thousands. And you're about to. So I should tell you one thing, Mike, which is that on Friday when we discussed this, I made the decision that we would not reveal who was playing the President of the United States because the movie seems to be holding that. In other words, if you think about those Zoom things or whatever they actually were,
right.
He's also a blank space because they don't want to tell anybody. I mean, I think it's like the worst kept secret in the world now.
Right.
But
everybody knows now.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, say what you. Yeah. It doesn't matter who's playing the president. Your point still holds.
Well, Exactly. But anyway, so it's actually, at first they just think it's the Midwest. Then they say it's going to hit Chicago 100%, right? So one of the last scenes is the president, which, spoiler alert, is played by Idris Elba. And he's sitting alone in a helicopter with a young naval, I think I don't know what he's, a lieutenant colonel or whatever. He's the guy that follows him around with what they call the football, which is all of the nuclear plants, the many myriad options for response. And of course, all I could think about was, instead of Idris Elba, let's say it's Donald Trump, and he says, Chicago. Boy, that would solve a lot of problems for me.
No, what he's probably saying is, this is the worst cheesecake menu I've ever seen in my life. I don't like any of this stuff. Because it's like all these laminated pages and stuff like that. Right. But I had a similar thought, but sooner. I would say sometime around that middle segment, I thought Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth, who's like, first of all, has no qualifications whatsoever. I mean, he really should not be Secretary of Defense, or as he is, Secretary of War. Great. This is someone who he might be less qualified to be Secretary of Defense than Donald Trump is to be president, and that's saying something. Right. All he cares about is whether generals
Jared Harris, who plays the part.
Yeah, Jared Harris is the Secretary of Defense. Yes, Jared Harris would make a better Secretary of Defense than Pete Hegseth, and I know nothing about Jared Harris other than his father, and then also Richard and the number of roles that I've seen Jared play, and my feelings about MacArthur Park, but anyway. I was just thinking about that, and I was thinking, and like all Hegseth has done is just tell he doesn't want any fat generals and no beards, and everybody's got to be in shape. And I'm thinking, well, it doesn't really seem to make too much difference what kind of shape people are in this situation. What you want is like really smart people in the room, which I think that they have seen to it that there will not be that many smart people in the room. And even so, it may not even help that much. So let's hope that it never comes true. But yes, a lot of people had the same thoughts that you had. Oh my God, let's hope this doesn't happen, because this is exactly what we were worried about. All right. Ask or Tell Me Anything is going to go on a break. I mean, just for, we're not like going to Rome for the semester or something. We'll be back in just minutes. 888-720-9677.
There's a small hotel with a wishing well. I wish that we were there together. Oh, there's a bright little suite, one room, bright and neat, complete for us to share together. Oh, through that little window I can see a distant steeple. Not a lot of people. Who needs people when that steeple bell says good night, sleep well? We'll thank that small hotel. We'll creep into our little shell, then we'll thank that small hotel together.
The sleepless nights, the daily fights, the quick toboggan when you reach the heights. I miss the kisses and I miss the bites. I wish I were in love again. The broken dates, the endless waits, the lovely loving and the hateful hate, the conversations with the flying plates. I wish I were in love again. No more pain. No more.
Okay, a few quick musical observations. First of all, it's Rodgers and Hart Day here. So all the songs are Rodgers and Hart. That would be Joni Mitchell that you heard singing, with amazing charts by Vince Mendoza, who I think he might have lived in West Hartford, Connecticut at some point. I knew his sister actually ran for Attorney General of Connecticut as a Republican candidate. And so when that was happening, which is in 2000, I think, she was just forever pointing out to me that her brother had arranged all these songs for Joni Mitchell. But those are great charts. And then I wanted to say something about the song that we went out of the previous segment with, and that was There's a Small Hotel, sung by Dana Lauren, who is a local talent, who's definitely a local talent. Maybe Vince Mendoza is too, I'm not sure. And so since I know her, she wanted me to point out to you that she will be performing at the Palace Theater at the Poli Club. Is that how you say it? Poli? The Poli Club? I don't hang out in Waterbury that much. Oh, Friday, November 21st. There'll be shows at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, okay. So it's Ask or Tell Me Anything. And we are going to take I'm faltering. I'm stuttering and faltering because I don't know the answer to the next thing we're going to talk about. So, but we're going to be talking to Rich in just a second and Phil in just a second. And really looking forward to Phil. Oh, that's going to be great. But we're going to talk to Mike from Bristol right now. But could we have our crack research department get on this question, the thing that he's going to bring up, because I don't know the answer to it. But I want to sound really smart, so provide me with the answer, please. Research department. Hello, research department. Calling research department. All right, Mike, you have the floor.
Okay, good afternoon, Colin. As always, a very interesting show. My question and comments concern the time change. I'm sorry that I didn't get to jump in earlier, but I've been mowing the lawn. First of all, I'm wondering, is this something that we only do in the United States, or is this something that is practiced throughout the world?
Yeah, our crack research department is working on this.
Okay,
I personally doubt very much that it's done in other places. Great Britain changed their clocks last week, and we have a bulletin from the research department. Great Britain changed their clocks the weekend before the weekend that we just had. In other words, a week before us.
Okay, so
I'm just repeating things that are on my screen right now. I really do feel like William Hurt in broadcast news.
Since we apparently are out of sync with the rest of the world half the time of the year, why not be out of sync 100% of the time of the year?
I think a lot of people would say that we are.
Well, if I understand in the time zones,
you just mean horologically out of sync. I would say that we're like in a Gestalt level, kind of out of sync with the rest of the world. But continue.
Right. If you're at the beginning of a time zone versus the end, I understand that that does create problems, and that's why some people want daylight savings time and some people want standard time. And my theory, or whatever you want to call it, is why not just split the difference and have it all the time one way, half an hour.
Half an hour?
Half an hour.
That's a recipe for chaos.
Well, this way, nobody is happy, but everyone is somewhat pleased because we're not changing the clocks.
Mike, I don't think I've ever said this to a listener, but I'm glad you don't have more power than you do right now. I don't think you would use it for good.
I think it's a great concept.
You're like a mad scientist, but of horology. You're like just you probably have like some creature in your basement that already is a half hour behind or ahead of us right now.
Oh my goodness!
All right, that's no way to talk about your brother-in-law. I know. All right, so the number 888-720-9677. I think we have to go to Phil like immediately because this might be. See, one thing I think we need more sound effects and sounders. Like this could be a towel emergency, and then we would have like a towel emergency, and then we would never use it. But we'd have like a towel emergency. All right, so here's Phil. And just to sort of set the stage for Phil, we did at one point, and we did it just to be annoying, and B, just to prove that you could take a fairly humdrum, unpromising subject and turned it into an entire 49-minute episode. Something we have done at our peril on other occasions, and something that we have failed colossally at on one or two notorious occasions. Although I would say the towel episode is a much higher watermark for us. I think the towel episode basically worked. But anyway, with all of that, here is Phil from Southbury.
Wow, Colin, you really built that one up.
Okay.
But it was a great episode, and I always wish I could have called in for it. But
here you are. Your dream is coming true right now.
It is. Well, hello, by the way. It's good to talk to you.
Hello.
So on the show, you were talking about some people use smooth towels or soft towels, and some people use coarse towels. But nobody brought up two towels. I think is really key. And what you do is you rotate, and you get out of the shower and you use one, and it gets really wet, and then you hang that one up, and then you use another one for comfort and dry. You can put it around yourself. And I think, I think that's got to be the way to go.
I know who this is now. This is Phil Two Towels Johnson. I followed your baseball career, and yeah, you're legendary, Phil Two Towels Johnson. And no, I see. So your idea is the problem you think you're solving anyway, and I don't mean to say that in a patronizing way.
I'm interested.
Is the problem of the towel being wet the next time you want to use it? Is that the problem you're attempting to address?
No, it's more, I think, just being a little cold and just having it damp. And sometimes, just using that wet towel just keeps you damper. It's not dry and
I see.
Up. It's not comforting because, use the soft towel for comfort. But if that's too wet, then that doesn't feel right either. And a coarse towel, it might get the water off you quick.
Okay, so there's a term I want you to jot down here if you have a writing implement nearby. Bathrobe. It's called bathrobe. And so what you do is after you've kind of toweled yourself off reasonably well, then on a hook not far from your towel, you have a bathrobe. And sometimes they're terry cloth. They're made of the same material as the towels.
Okay.
And you put that on. And then, see, I don't know whether I can get into what I want to say right now without causing a lot of trouble. And the person who screens your call is my boss. But for guys, there's an area that's the hardest to dry. It doesn't really want to get dry, because just the way it's all set up there, it is the most difficult part to get dry. And sometimes even when you towel that part off, that area, you think it's still not dry. I don't know why, but there's just like no air getting on it, So that's why I think the bathrobe is a good move. Like you do the best you can with the towel, then you put on the bathrobe for a while. Then you can go over there, you can brush your teeth, whatever else you do, floss your brain, whatever you're doing. And then, that whole time, that area has a little bit of more airflow in it.
Well, I think that's all well and good for people who have
I'm going to get fired.
I think if you don't have that time, I think, a hairdryer for any areas of your body, you find damp, right? And then, you just keep that on standby. I mean, I'll think about the accessories. You get a bathrobe.
The problem with the hairdryer is you just feel like you're like Norman Bates or Jeffrey Dahmer or something. You're just putting a hairdryer, pointing that at that part of yourself. It's just, you think, what have I turned into? What kind of person have I turned into?
He doesn't think you question oneself.
But anyway, I would say, even though you're legendary as Phil Two Towels Johnson, I would say one towel and then bathrobe. One towel, bathrobe. It's just gonna change your life. It's gonna open up a whole world for you. All right. Hopefully there won't be a lot of follow-up calls about that one. But okay. All right, we better take Adam, and then we'll get Rich. I swear to God, I will get to you super fast. But Adam has some information that is either true or not. Here's Adam from Wallingford. Hi, Adam.
Hey, I believe this is true on from all the sources that I've looked through. But when the gentleman that called earlier who suggested we go halvesies kind of and go 30 minutes ahead. When I heard that, I immediately recalled that North Korea, I thought they still did this, but they don't apparently. In 2015, they switched their time zone to be UTC plus 8 hours and 30 minutes. And that only lasted 3 years. In 2018, they changed their mind. So clearly there was some complications there. But I remembered this and I was like, oh, actually.
So that's interesting. And would seem to me that the disruption would be twice, once when you change it, but then think of the amount of adjustment that would have gone on to, in fact, accommodate a half-hour difference and the things that people would have had to do in North Korea, where it's not easy to do anything, really. And then to have to change it back, the sense of futility. I mean, I suppose if you live in North Korea, the sense of futility isn't a stranger to you anyway, but it just seems like if you're going to do it, you really should probably just stick with it because it really. But see, our research department right now is saying that there might be a few other places like that. And the thing, according to our research department, this is not me talking, the thing is getting the whole world to do it. So, and that could have been, it could have been Kim Jong-un or whoever was running the place at the time thinking, well, we will make the world bow to all of our ideas, starting with this one. But see, that's a bad place to start. If you want to take over the world, don't screw up people's clocks. They're not gonna appreciate that. But thank you for the information, though. I think it's good information, and I've enjoyed it very much. All right, so let me remind you what it is that we're doing here, to the extent that I know. It's Ask or Tell Me Anything. You can call 888-720-9677. All topics are welcome. 888-720-WNPR. We're going to go to Rich in North Haven, and following that, we will take a break. Hi, Rich.
Hey, how's it going? I just wanted to call because there's a local business in my area, a gym that I go to. Recently, my wife was laid off from her job, and we had to cut back on finances. So naturally, one of the first things to go is the gym, because who needs personal health? And I called the owner to cancel my membership, and he responded without hesitation to say, do not stop coming to the gym. I'm going to put your membership on a pause for payment. You don't have to worry about it. Just keep coming. And I just thought that was just the nicest, kindest thing in a moment where my family was going through, pretty tumultuous morning. But I wanted to say thank you. His name is Paul. He runs Resilient Training Labs. I'm sorry for being so obnoxious and dropping a plug.
No, it's okay.
But
I mean, you're not plugging. You're plugging him.
Like
You're plugging him for being a good guy. And I think that's that's defensible. And yeah, I mean, you know what it also means when somebody does that? It means they believe in the thing that they're doing too, because what he was saying is, don't give up the health benefits that go along with coming here. I would rather that you just come and not be able to pay for a while than that you do that. And that kind of indicates that, he really believes in the service that he's providing, which I unfortunately don't think is universally true. Anyway, we have to take a little break here. Rich, thank you for telling that story. It was an uplifting story. We like being lifted up. Here's John Pizzarelli.
At the sound of your voice, heaven opens its portals to me. Can I help but rejoice that a song such as ours came to be? But I always knew I would live life through with a song in my heart for you. La 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 la. Sing for your supper and you'll get breakfast. Songbirds always eat if their song is sweet to hear. Sing for your luncheon and you'll get dinner. Dine with wine of choice if romance is in your voice. I heard from a wise canary, trilling makes a fellow willing. So little swallows.
That, of course, is the great Mel Torme. I think somewhat underrated. I mean, not underrated by people who really care about American Songbook and jazz vocals and stuff like that. He's a legend. But there's that whole Velvet Fog thing, and I actually, to me, he was a huge part of my introduction to the American Songbook. And I'm going to guess, Dylan Reyes will tell me later, I'm guessing that's a Marty Page chart. It just sounds like Marty Page, who, by the way, is the father of the guy in Toto. David Page, maybe? But Marty Page has a certain kind of very bright horns that he likes. All right, so it's time to say some thank yous. So we had to do a complicated thing. We had to have a shuffle here. Joe Costa's not around today, which means that our YouTube operation, our largely unwatched YouTube, whatever it's called, live stream at the Connecticut Public Channel of the YouTubes, has been taken over by the Maestro Dylan Reyes, which means that Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, Eugene Amatruda, is taking over what Dylan typically does, which is the technical producer of the show, and the actual producer of the show is Jonathan McPants, and Robyn Doyon-Aitken is on phones, and I think that's everybody. I mean, it's not everybody who exists, but it's everybody who has anything to do with this show. And this show is Ask or Tell Me Anything. We have plenty of time left and plenty of room for calls, so if you have something that you want to get off your chest, 888-720-9677. 888-720-WNPR. We have Janet from Guilford, who's going to be talking in just a second. I'm trying to decide whether I want to tell this kind of not very, I don't know. It's a story that doesn't show me in a very good light, I think, vis-a-vis Mel Torme. I think I'll wait. I'll talk to Janet first, and I'll debate about whether to tell the story. Here's Janet from Guilford. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Colin. Thanks for taking my call. I have another twist on the daylight versus standard versus maybe there's something else way to look at time. And, everybody's haggled about it and doesn't like where they are relative to the time zone they're in. What if there was only one time? And it's the time that it is at Greenwich Mean Time. And you live in your time zone, whatever, or you live in your quadrant that's been designated. So it's just, okay, if it's noon in Greenwich Mean Time, it's 6 o'clock here. And so what if it's light? So what if it's dark? It doesn't matter. It's like we're just the number that goes around with Greenwich Mean Time.
That's almost a song. I feel like, so what if it's light? So what if it's dark? It's just a number that goes around with Greenwich Mean Time.
Mean Time.
There you go. We're like Rodgers and Hart, Janet. I feel like we really could be a songwriting duo. Okay, so I want to make sure I understand. So it's not that there would be fewer time zones. It'd be the same number of time zones. They would stand in the exact same relationship to Greenwich Mean Time the whole year round. Whatever your relationship was, it wouldn't make any difference. So, I mean, if you live in California, it's one thing. If you live in Connecticut, it's another thing. And it just stays that way. And so you're basically staying, don't change the clocks and let Greenwich Mean Time decide as a differential what time it is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. What are you doing at 6 o'clock? I don't care where you are. It'll be 6 o'clock.
Okay. I have some other updates from our...
You could be in India. You could be in China. You could be in...
You could be in India. You could be in China. You could be anywhere. It's Janet time. It's Janet time. We've got a hit. I'm getting chills. Actually, I think I may have the flu, actually. But no. Well, listen, this is all great. I have some updates from our research department. I'll just keep you on the line while we give them out. So on Lord Howe Island in Australia, their normal time is something called UTC plus 10:30. So then for DST, they shift ahead half an hour. No, it helps me understand why Lord Howe Island in Australia is not an economic superpower, because they have this cuckoo way of keeping time. I was seeing if there's anything else. Other people have called in to say don't use dryer sheets on towels, and then also robes equals long kilts. And somebody misses the program seasoned. There's a lot of things that don't get on the air. They're said. But elsewhere. All right. Thank you so much for your call, Janet. And I think we have a hit song. And I feel like I should demand top billing. It should be by Colin and Janet. But I think Janet and Colin sounds better. And also, she was the one doing most of the work there. All right. So 888-720-9677. Although things are getting a little bit late here, we may not have time. But if you're just the kind of hopeful person, you can still do it. 888-720-WNPR. But right now, it's Walter from Hartford. Hi, Walter.
Hi. How are you this morning?
I'm no worse than could be expected. I do believe it's afternoon, which is, if it's morning, I'm in terrible shape right now.
Oh, okay. I'm running late.
Okay.
Don't worry about me. I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah, time is just a construct. Anyway.
In my travels, I learned that George Washington warned us about having a two-party system, and I wonder if what's happening now is what he warned us about.
Yeah, it's fair to say that the founders, the framers of the Constitution, and just people just kind of hanging around at the foundation of this country, were not particularly interested in parties,
right?
And didn't necessarily think that was a good idea. So yes, I mean, it doesn't matter ultimately because we have one right now. The biggest problem right now with that is that, I mean, first of all, if we're not going to have a two-party system, are we going to have a no-party system? Probably not. So we're going to maybe have a multi-party system. And the problem with that one is that whether they knew it or not, the framers of the Constitution were constructing a situation that disfavored, in presidential elections only, that disfavored a multi-party system because if you don't get a majority of the electoral votes, then the election gets thrown into the House of Representatives, and nobody wants that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they were day drinking. Who knows? Who knows whether they thought this through or not? I mean, the one thing that I always say about the constitutional system, it's an idea I got from my late friend Hugh McGill, former dean of the UConn Law School, is we would not accept this method of making a constitution today. 55 white men meeting in secret and day drinking. And 54 of them were Protestants, and there was a token Catholic. And that's who's going to design your... I mean, imagine proposing something like that now. Although we're kind of drifting back, everything old is new again. I would say the way things are going, 55 white men determining the entire course of America is, getting
there now.
Yeah, disturbingly plausible. Exactly, Walter. Exactly, Walter. Thank you for yes-anding me on that one.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for your call. And I think I see by the clock on the clubhouse wall that we're almost out of time. I will say this, okay? So I'm going to tell this story. It does not show me in a good light. I used to have a show on, it was like 10 to noon in the morning on WTIC before I moved to Afternoon Drive. And one day, Mel Torme was on by phone. And I asked him if he would sing a song with me so that I could say I sang a song with Mel Torme. And he really didn't want to do it because, it's morning. Jazz singers don't want to do anything in the morning, and he wasn't warmed up. But he did it. He did. We sang Lulu's Back in Town. We sang about 10 bars of it. Just so I could say I sang with Mel Torme. I feel like that is not my place as a host. Mr. Amatruda, you may bring up the music now. We are getting ready to say goodbye. And as we say goodbye, Donna Washington and her wonderful band, they're going to help us. But all the music today was from Rodgers and Hart. We may be doing a show later this week in which we discuss the really interesting movie, Blue Moon, with Ethan Hawke giving the performance of a lifetime. But anyway, thanks for listening today. And let me just look over here and see if there's any other news bulletins I have to give out. Doesn't look like it. We have to go. Thank you.